WKRK.love.
All right. WKRK.love. Just has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It does.
Hopefully it just brings people together with love. All right. Good morning. It is WKRK Radio, and we try to be lovable. Not always, but we try.
We try.
We
do
try
what
our
we can.
best.
Yeah.
We love being lovable.
That's right.
All right. How's the sheriff this morning?
Doing well. Doing very good.
We missed you last week. We had a break, but you were moving into college.
I was. My son went to college last week, and so I was moving him in. His move-in day was last Friday, and trying to get him situated, and he's finishing up his first week of college today, so it's pretty exciting, I guess, for him.
How is he enjoying Western so far?
He likes it. He's enjoyed his classes and just getting settled in and those kind of things. We'll see in a couple months if he still likes it or not. But as of right now, he's enjoying it pretty good.
So how's it feel? Your youngest kid is off to college.
Well, we kind of, I guess, it kind of mitigated the empty nest syndrome. Mm-hmm. There, our daughter just graduated college. And so she's working here in Murphy as an accountant, and so she's moved back in with us. So when one moved out, the other one moved back in. So I think that's a pretty good trade-off. We got to spend the last 4 years with one without the other one, and
All
now
right.
we got him sent off to college, and she's back home. So we get to spend a little while with her till she decides to get married or get an apartment or whatever she decides to do there. Yeah.
Something about this whole situation, having kids college age and graduate, it makes me think that we're getting old.
It makes me feel really old. It really does. I was at the gym last night, and about 7:30 last night, I was at the gym, and I ran into a friend of mine that I graduated with, hadn't seen in a few months, and I walked up to him and I said, "It stinks getting old, on it?" And he said, "Absolutely." He said, "There's things hurt that I didn't realize hurt." But it's harder to stay in shape. It's harder to keep things going, but it's part of life.
I'm right there with you. We're only
Yeah.
a few years difference in age, so I completely understand
Right.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, but that's part of life. We're destined to grow old, and kids get raised, and they have kids, and everyone dies, and the circle of life keeps going. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I understand it's been a busy time at the sheriff's office, and let's just get right on the
Okay.
topic. First of all, let's talk about recovering some property. I know the investigators have been pretty busy.
They have. They've been really busy the last few weeks recovering stolen property, and sometimes we get a hot streak and we can get a lot of things recovered, and a lot of things get broken into and may recover them the next day or a few days later. There's other things, of course, that gets broken into that we may never recover or may not ever find. And I've been a victim of theft, just like a lot of people have, and my stuff has never been recovered. My stuff's still out there somewhere, and that was from years ago. So, it's not a matter of we try to work harder for one person and not the other. It's just some things are recovered and some things aren't. But our detectives have done a great job in the last little bit of recovering stolen property and finding some of these things that are out there. As a matter of fact, this morning, I just left a search warrant they were doing this morning on recovering some stolen property. That they recovered some items from a house in Marks Creek this morning. And while we were there, they were discussing information they got from a different person about another house that had some stolen property. Then in a different part of our county, it was totally unrelated to this house, but people are calling in and saying, "Hey, I might know where this is at or that's at." So we're right now on a hot streak of recovering stuff, and so we hope that we continue to do so and get some property recovered for these folks.
All right, Very good. And a lot of breaking and enterings in storage units. So
Right.
let's talk about that for folks that...
Well, when you talk about recovering this property, prevention is a lot better than trying to find the property that's been stolen. And I understand, there's sometimes that, that things just happen you have no control over. I told a story before, and it's true, that me and my wife came home from church one Sunday. This has been several months ago, and there was a well-known person in the drug world and in the theft world was walking down my driveway when I came home from church, and I had a unchurchly discussion with him in the driveway of my home. But I know that there's times that you can't prevent things from happening and can't prevent things that's going on, but there are some things that we can do. And storage building thefts is one of the things that we're seeing a rise in. We're seeing a lot more than we used to in the past. When you think about it, most of our storage buildings in Cherokee County are basically just sitting ducks for someone to come break into. There are some storage units that are fenced. There are some storage units that have 24-hour watch. There's some storage units that have cameras on the units, but there's some that's just sitting out there by themselves with nobody watching them and no camera systems and nobody taking care of it until they come to take something out of their storage building and they find it's been broken into. And sometimes if people don't visit their storage units or they don't have a manager of a storage unit that checks on those every single morning, sometimes there could breaking and entering can occur at a storage unit. It may be days or weeks or months before anybody realizes their stuff is stolen. And of course, by that time, it makes it very difficult to recover. So one of the things that I would like to encourage the people out there to think about is that as you're putting your things in your storage units and storage buildings that you rent, I know a lot of times people rent these things and store things because they have no other options, no other choice. They may have been evicted from a piece of property, or they could be in transition from one piece of property to another and maybe not have the space or the room to move all their stuff right now and may have to have help, to get all that stuff moved. But one thing I do want to remind people of, unless you have a storage unit that has 24-hour watch and has someone taking care of your stuff and keeping eyes on that 24 hours a day, it's probably not a good idea to put your real valuable stuff in there.
Right.
So if you have anything that's precious to you, anything that's real valuable, it's probably not a good idea to put it inside those storage units. The other thing about that is if you do put property inside storage units, spend the money to get some good locks to go on it. They make locks that are very difficult, very hard to get into, to open, to bust open, to pry open, to cut open, but they're expensive. And sometimes what happens is when people put things in their storage building and they've got valuables in there, they may go to Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere like that to buy a lock to go in their storage building. And they look at those and say, man, this lock here is $50. I don't want to pay that much for a lock. And over here I can get a whole pack for $10. But you've got to understand that, when you buy the $10 lock or you buy the $5 lock, those are not as secure as the $50 or the $75 or the $100 lock that goes on that storage building. So if you get a very good lock that is hard to break open, hard to cut, hard to pry open, hard to bust open, those are going to cost you some money to put on those storage buildings. But if you do have valuables inside there, I encourage you to spend the money to get a good lock to put on that storage building. Because what happens is these people that are breaking into homes, breaking into buildings, stealing things, they are opportunists. They look at easy targets. And so if you have someone in the middle of the night or even during the day sometimes come into a storage unit facility looking for something to break into, and they're looking at the different units, 1 through 10, whatever it may be on this side, and they're looking at the different ones, they're looking for the one that's the easiest to get into.
Right.
So if they see one with the big round stainless steel cut-proof, burn-proof lock that you can't get open, chances are they're going to bypass that storage unit for the $5 lock that all they got to do is take a screwdriver and a hammer and knock open. So you got to also understand that even though these people are trying to get what they get, they're not necessarily looking to find bars of gold in there. They're just looking for something that they can get rid of, something they can move, something they can trade. And so a lot of times what happens is people's personal things, their personal valuables, get ruined or destroyed or stolen that may not be something that I would get rich on, but it might be something that someone could take to trade for drugs or to trade for something else. So just use a little bit of common sense when renting those storage buildings and pay the price for the locks and do a little preventative measures. But the same thing is true for your homes, right? The same thing is true for your homes. Do some preventative things. We talk about trimming bushes away from windows so you can see, having good lighting of a night, having the buddy system in the communities where other people can help watch each other's homes. And, if you're going to be away from home, talk to that family member or that friend that you can trust to go check on your place and maybe come in if they can't stay there to, have automatic lighting or turn lights on and off and have TVs on and different things to not be a signal that you're not home or this home's empty or vacant. But you can do some preventative things even with your own home to keep people from trying to break in and steal stuff.
Yeah, and at one time there were some footprints around my house where footprints shouldn't have been.
Right.
So I knew that someone was there
Right.
prowling at some point. So at that point, cameras went up around every place, keypads and sensors on every door and window and things like that. It's annoying that it has to be that way, but so if there's movement on any of those cameras, so I don't think there's an inch of property that's not under surveillance now on the outside. So notifications come to my phone so I can watch live video there of anybody there, which, it's annoying to have to monitor that.
Right.
But I see all kinds of pretty deer and
Yeah,
squirrels and things like that. I didn't realize there were so many things that were setting off. There was so much movement around the house. But if folks can install those kind of things there.
And they're pretty simple now.
They are simple.
I did the same thing. I installed cameras at my home, and I was surprised, especially if you get like wireless cameras and those type of things, how easy it is to just install those things and pair them up with your DVRs and all that kind of stuff, to where, that it is pretty simple to construct. You don't have to be an engineer, I'll put it that way, to get them put up. And the other thing good about them now is, especially when you live especially in the internet, you have internet access to your place. Like you say, you can access them by phone. You can access them by your computers or those type of things. I know that even when you're getting outside of theft and those kind of things, I know, for example, when my mother-in-law first started getting sick and she was staying by herself, but she was starting to develop the symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's and those type of things. She at the time didn't require 24-hour care or somebody to stay with her all the time. But we installed cameras inside her home to where my wife could check on her throughout the day, and just got to make sure everything was okay, everything was going on, and there wasn't any problems or issues there. And then if she couldn't find her on camera or things didn't appear to be right, she could come home and check on her. So there's a lot of different uses for those camera systems. It doesn't have to be that you're paranoid that somebody's going to steal your stuff. And surprisingly, they've become surprisingly cheap. For camera systems.
They have become very affordable now.
And, the thing about it is, you can get probably a very, very good camera system for wireless internet access system for, $300, $400, $500. And depending on how many cameras you want, and what kind of system of storage and those kind of things. So, but going back to the theft issue, if people would do a little bit of preventative measures, some of the thefts, not all of them, but a lot of them can be curbed, that were, they can protect their property and keep from getting stolen. I've, like I say, my home, I've put up cameras. I've got German Shepherds. I've got, guard dogs, people there when I'm going to be out of town. People's checking on things. There's never a time, I don't think, at my house right now that there's not somebody there. If I'm gone or not there, somebody is going to be within eye shot of what's going on in the house, plus cameras and those kind of things. So, it's just the world we live in. It's just unfortunately what we have to do these days. When I was a kid, for those of you that's listening that's not from this area or have moved in here from other places, I tell this just kind of give an illustration about how things have changed over the last 30 years or so, 40 years. Gosh, it's probably been 40 years now. I am getting old. But when I was a kid, 7, 8, 9, 10, I can remember that, we would leave our home. We lived here in Cherokee County in the Marble area, and I can remember we would leave our home to go to Gatlinburg or go to the beach or go somewhere, and it would be summertime, and we would leave our windows up and our doors unlocked, and and nobody thought anything about it. You really didn't expect anything to happen while you were gone. But that's just not the days and times we live in now.
Things have
changed a lot, and so we have to do those preventative measures and try to keep these things from happening.
Another thing I like about those cameras is I know when packages arrive.
You do?
Yeah, and I can see, packages sitting there on the counter, and if I know there was a time last year where I was reading on Facebook, a lot of folks in Murphy were having people with packages being stolen from their porches.
Right.
So you can monitor that. So I'm not sitting here trying to pitch cameras to everybody, but it's a great.
It is a great tool.
It's a great tool to have.
And that's the thing to think about. You got to think about installing camera systems is not necessarily the prevention. It's just a tool. It's just a tool that you can use for that. And I know a lot of people, especially those that's in the drug world, theft world, that when they come out to a piece of property, they start looking for cameras. They start
Mm-hmm.
looking for things. So if they see cameras on the property, they see, signs warning this place is under video surveillance or whatever it may be. Many times that's enough for them just to get back in their car and turn around and leave. Just like with my property, if you have guard dogs, you have German Shepherds, animals there that can help protect your property. When they pull up in the yard and the dogs are barking and raising Cain and they don't want to get out of the car.
This is not an easy target.
Right.
And folks, if you do install the cameras, we've all seen whenever the law enforcement post, can you help identify these suspects, and the images are so grainy and so far away. Please make sure to install them so that you can get a good, clear picture of the face. It's not the top of their head.
Right.
Because those images are very valuable whenever you can get a good, clear shot.
And I know a lot of people don't like to mount cameras head high or slightly above the head because they're afraid somebody will steal their camera or take their camera down, and there is some validity to that. Mm-hmm. But when things are backed up, when you use the internet and they're backed up through the cloud and recorded online and those type of things, you can see them on your phone and saved through those DVRs and different things. It's better to have it head high and them steal your camera and get a good picture of them stealing your camera than it is to have it 30 feet up in the air and all you see is the top of a baseball cap.
Right.
So I encourage people to install those things, especially around your entrances, around your front door, rear doors, garages, things of that nature where you'd enter a home. You want to put those cameras to where if someone came through your main entrances, that you would get a good clear shot of that person who it was. And driveways, cars coming in and out, cameras close to the roadways so you can get a good picture of the tag numbers and things of that nature.
And make sure to get a good camera that has good night vision.
Right.
If you just get a dark image that you can't see anything, then it's a worthless image.
But one thing I do want to say about those cameras too, and because I deal with this a lot at my home, is every few days you need to make sure you get all the spider webs off.
Oh, yes.
Because when the night vision kicks on of a night and there's a cobweb in front of the camera lens, it reflects that hour back into the camera and you can't see anything but a bright light or a spider web in front of the camera. So in the daytime, you don't notice it. So if you check your cameras during the day, you see a very good, clear picture of what's going on. But when that nightfall comes and the hour kicks on, then the spider webs really are pronounced and show up and blocks everything you're seeing. So if you do have a camera system, every few days, be sure and go and dust that, take those spider webs down and make sure, that you get those down.
All right. Let's talk about pedestrian safety. We've had a lot of pedestrian fatalities here recently.
Yeah, we've had more than usual.
A lot more than usual, and we just want to keep people safe, especially on the 4-lane areas,
right?
Because there's a lot of heavy traffic that goes pretty fast out in those areas.
Again, like I told the story a while ago about going on vacation as a child and not having to shut your doors and windows and leaving everything unlocked, and you didn't worry about it. Also, during that time period of when I was a child and years after that, there wasn't a whole lot of traffic. The road down in front of our house where we grew up was a gravel road, and me and my sister would get our cars and Tonka trucks and bulldozers and whatever, and we'd go sit right in the middle of the gravel road and play cars, and you could hear a car coming a mile away, and you gathered everything up and got out of the road and waited for the car to pass, and then
I remember those days
go sit back down in the gravel road and play again, because the state crew had come with that road scrape and piled the dirt up, and it was just a great play area. I forget.
Yes.
So the old adage you've probably heard, go play on the highway. Well, we used to actually do that. But with that being said, that is not the day and time we live in now. Traffic is picked up immensely. Vehicles are, like I said, I don't have to convince you. Go out 64 West about lunchtime any day of the week and just look at the traffic. And this is Friday. After lunch, about 2 or 3 o'clock, just drive up, between Walmart and out through Peachtree intersection 64 West, and you'll see how far the red lights back up and traffic and all those kind of things. So traffic is a lot heavier than it used to be. And even it's a lot heavier than it was a few years ago. So, when you're out and you're out walking, whether you're out just walking your dog for exercise, whether you're broken down on the side of the road and having to go get gas somewhere or go get help, be very aware of staying out of the highways and staying out of the travel lanes of the highways, because like I say, used to it wasn't as big an issue because cars were so far apart and there were so few vehicles. One vehicle would pass and you would have 30, 45 seconds, a minute before the next one would come by. But now literally, if you go out 64 West, you're talking about milliseconds before the next vehicle comes.
And people like to tailgate now too.
They do. And so, when you're out and about and you're around, you getting exercise, like I say, walking your dog, stranded, whatever the issue may be, just be conscious about staying well off the roadways when you walk and when you're on those roadways. If you have to cross a road, especially the 4-lane, be sure that you're in a long stretch or you're somewhere where you can see vehicles coming for, at least 30, 45 seconds a minute. You can see them coming before you cross that road, so you're well aware of what's coming and how much time you have to cross that road. And what's happened a lot of times, our pedestrians that have been struck, is that the drivers of the vehicles who has actually struck the pedestrians has not had time to react. When you come across hills, come around curves, things of that nature, and someone's in the middle of a highway and you're traveling, 55, 60, 70 miles an hour, and someone's down that road, you don't have time to react, and you've already struck that person before you can even realize there's someone in front of you. So you have to be very careful on that, and we just want to encourage everybody to keep that in the forethought of their mind, And it don't have to be the 4-lane. It could be these 2-lane roads that we have. When you're walking, remember to walk facing traffic. Don't walk with your back to traffic. Walk facing traffic. And that way, if you have a vehicle that's coming too close to you or even dropped off the shoulder, maybe out of the road, if you're facing traffic, you have time to dive, to jump, to try to get some cover kind of thing. But if you have your back turned to the vehicle, you don't realize what's happening. And so just, again, prevention is the key here. So be conscious about those things when you're out walking around roadways, just to use that prevention. And unfortunately, again, if something that's changed is we're living in a date and time where we do have a homeless population. We do have people who are living under bridges, out in the woods, camping, those type of things. And not all of these people, but many of these people may be substance abusers, could be either through alcohol or drugs, and so they may not be thinking clearly while they're out walking. So even as a driver, you need to always be aware of what's going on around you. I've stopped several people this week on traffic stops where they were texting and driving or just talking on the phone, not paying attention and swerving and things of that nature. And, I stop them and I also make sure that they understand that I'm not upset that you're talking on your phone. I'm not upset that you're texting. It is against the law in North Carolina, and I don't want to see you get in an accident. I don't want to see you get an accident and hurt yourself or get an accident and hurt someone else. So while you're driving, you need to pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to the road and the surrounding areas around you.
We have way too many distractions nowadays.
We do.
We honestly do. I was talking to Pastor Caleb Matthews the other day. He was here, and the whole time we were talking, my phone was just blowing up with messages, texts, Facebook, weather alerts. It's like, I'm going to ignore these for a while so that you and I can just have a conversation one-on-one without being interrupted because, And
I tell you what is crazy. Now, let me tell you what's crazy. My vehicle that I have a Chevrolet, and in my vehicle, for whatever reason, I'll be starting to drive down the road or my vehicle will be in motion, and the little display screen, the message screen will kick up. And it has a message, something similar to this. It says, taking your eyes off the road is dangerous, so pay attention to what you're doing. I'm like, well, why are you got it on a written screen?
Mine does that too. That drives me crazy. You have to hit the button to dismiss
to clear it. So I'm like, why don't you just audibly tell me this? Why do you put it in writing on the screen? So, but even our vehicles can be distracting. Right?
Yeah, it's saying, don't look at me. It's what it's saying.
It's saying, keep your eyes on the road and don't look at what I'm telling you. Well, quit putting it up there.
That's crazy.
So, but you're right. There are so many distractions, whether it's our cell phones, whether it's our vehicles themselves. We now have the ability with XM radio and media radio and, and Bluetooth and all these kind of things. We have the ability to access music in a lot of different ways on our vehicles, where we used to have an AM/FM radio and it was pushing a button or turning a dial. Now we're trying to navigate and flip through all these different music things and things on our phone that sends Bluetooth to the car, and we're switching songs and whatever it may be. So those things are a distraction to driving and can cause a very serious accident. So my encouragement to you is put the phone down, silence it while you're driving, or connect it to your Bluetooth to your car, to where you can have hands-free, where you're not physically having to manipulate that phone while you're driving. And again, for those that's out of state, those type of things are illegal in North Carolina. It's illegal to text and drive and those type of things, manipulate your phone and all that while you're driving. So I've stopped a couple of different people that didn't realize that and didn't know that about North Carolina. So we just need to make sure that we adhere to that and not cause accidents.
All right, Sheriff, I see your time has come
Sure
and gone. Anything you want to add?
No, again, I just want to thank our officers for the great job they're doing. And I shared with them in a staff meeting the other day, and I want to say this to the public too. I think it's needful to say is that, with everything that's happened in my first term, we started off really good, but the first 3 years was just kind of getting your head above water and trying to figure out what's happening and trying to clean up messes from previous administrations and trying to get your own order established. And then we went through a run last year where it seemed like the world was coming crashing down and trying to figure out what was happening and what was going on. And a lot of things caught me off guard last year, and a lot of things that's happening that I thought was running smooth wasn't running smooth, and a lot of things came to light. So then we revamped the sheriff's office and put things in order, and we got Joe Wood as chief deputy now, brought Tiffany Holland back as investigative lieutenant. We've got Sean Crisp and Marty White running the detention center now, and they've come in and done a great job with it. And I was telling them in a staff meeting the other day this is my 5th year of being sheriff and going into my 2nd term and finishing up my first year of my 2nd term. And this is the first time that I've really been feeling good about where I'm at, feeling comfortable with where I'm at, feeling comfortable with where the office is. I see the people working hard. I see turnover rates have dwindled down to just what things you can't help. I've seen things get better all around at the sheriff's office, and it seems like that people are getting along and working real good. And I just want to commend, not me, but I want to commend those people we brought in and the people we have working for stepping up to the plate and doing what's right and doing the things that needs to be done. It's very easy that when you go through bad times or bad things happen, for everybody just to jump ship and say, I don't want to be part of this, and just go somewhere else. But people have really stayed and have really dug in and is really doing a good job because they care about their community. They care about Cherokee County. They care about what's going on around them. And we as an office wants to do a good job and wants to be good law enforcement officers. And we all realize our constraints and things we can do and we can't do. We can't control the judicial system. We can't control, magistrates. We can't control attorneys. We can't control the DA's office. We can't do those things. But we can make ourselves better, and we can work better within us. And so I just want to say that I am proud of the people there, and I'm proud of the people I work with. And I work with a great group of people, and I think it's showing within our community. And I just want to thank our community for stepping up and helping us and showing their support of the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office and showing support for me. And I could explain it to you, but you would never understand how much that means to me. Just words of encouragement, words from people to say, hey, Sheriff, we're behind you. We support you. We've got your back, kind of thing. And I just want to say that because I think it's important that people understand how much I appreciate that.
All right. Well, Sheriff, thank you very much. Appreciate your spending your Fridays with us here on WKRK during the 11 to 11:30 block. Folks, you're tuned to WKRK 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, worldwide at WKRK.love. Your weather forecast next, brought to you by Carpet Mart.